There is a profound sense of loss that you cannot quite pinpoint, an unarticulated feeling that your most precious resources are draining away, not spent, but somehow exchanged for something far less valuable. It's an internal tremor, a persistent, quiet hum that something fundamental is out of balance, a sensation that the equation of your output to your input is fundamentally skewed. You pour your sovereign energy, your unique attention, your finite temporal units into the world, day after day, and yet the return feels diminished, not merely a lack of external recognition, but a deeper, more insidious depletion of your inner reserves, leaving you subtly hollowed, not by exhaustion, but by an unreciprocated energetic investment that never seems to fully materialize on your ledger. This is not a personal failure, nor a deficit of your discipline. This is by design. What you perceive as an individual struggle, a constant battle to maintain your energetic sovereignty, is in fact a systemic condition. It is the default setting of every external structure you engage with, every platform you navigate, every institution you lend your presence to. Each operates not as a neutral conduit for your intent, but as a hidden resource economy, meticulously designed to extract, compound, and leverage your sovereign assets for its own ledger. You are not merely a participant. You are an unwitting resource within a predefined economic model. The quiet drain you feel is the precise calibration of that hidden system at work, transacting in currencies you barely recognize you possess, let alone that you are actively spending. This isn't about being used. It's about being transacted with at an exchange rate you never agreed to. Every scroll, every click, every contribution, every moment of your focused attention, every burst of creative output you offer to the public square or the corporate matrix, these are not simply given. They are traded. They are processed through an invisible, algorithmically optimized exchange, where the value of your temporal and attentional currency is unilaterally set, not by you, but by the architecture of the system itself. The head fake is believing you are a consumer or a contributor, when in reality, you are a source, continuously broadcasting your most precious assets into an economy built to absorb them, often without fair, sovereign return. Consider the subtle theft of your focus, piece by piece, as it is redirected, repurposed, and repackaged to serve an agenda not your own. Your attention, that most potent and finite of all sovereign resources, is the primary commodity in this invisible marketplace. It is not simply consumed. It is exchanged for snippets of information, for fleeting emotional spikes, for phantom connections that leave you energetically fragmented. The true cost of this exchange is rarely tallied in traditional currency, but in the quiet dissipation of your creative reserves, the erosion of your clarity, and the gradual unmooring from your authentic trajectory. This constant, unacknowledged transaction continuously accrues value to the system, while silently diminishing your sovereign wealth. The relentless pressure to engage, to perform, to be present across myriad digital and physical interfaces is not a call to participation. It is an economic imperative. It is the system demanding its due, enforcing its exchange rate on your time and creative spirit. Every demand for more content, more interaction, more visibility is a call for a greater deposit into its ledger and a deeper withdrawal from yours. And the currency you receive in return, often it is a simulacrum of connection, a fleeting echo of validation, or merely the illusion of progress, all designed to keep you tethered to the source of the exchange, obscuring the true value you are surrendering. This mechanism operates far below the level of conscious negotiation. Your sovereign assets, your time and attention, are not merely being consumed in this dynamic. They are being quietly collateralized. Each instance of engagement, Each unwitting acceptance of the system's imposed exchange rate binds a portion of your future self to its terms. It is a silent lien placed upon your potential, a diminishing of the available energetic capital you have to invest in your own sovereign creation. The businesses that define so much of modern existence is not productivity in service of your highest self, but often the ceaseless maintenance of another's ledger, leaving you with little left to architect your own unfolding reality. This is not a sustainable equation for the evolutionary moment we find ourselves in. The accelerating pace of this moment, the intensifying energetic demands, make the acceptance of these foreign exchange rates for your core assets an increasingly perilous proposition. To remain unaware, to continue operating within these invisible economies without revaluing your own currency, is to guarantee an architectural obsolescence of the self. You will find yourself increasingly outmaneuvered, outpaced, and out of sync with the higher frequencies of creation, simply because your foundational resources are perpetually flowing into systems that do not serve your sovereign expansion. The illusion is that you must earn your worth. The deeper truth is that your worth is the currency itself, which you have unwittingly allowed to be devalued. To reclaim your architectural authority, to genuinely author the reality you inhabit, you must first become a master of your own internal economy. This begins not with a change in activity, but with a profound shift in recognition. You must understand that your time is not merely a segment of a clock, and your attention is not simply a commodity. These are the very threads of your reality fabric, the raw material from which your future is woven. Therefore, the task is not to manage them, but to unilaterally declare their intrinsic sovereign value, to identify every hidden exchange rate applied to them, and to reestablish your own internal ledger where only you dictate the terms of engagement and the true worth of your life currency. This is the path to compounding your own sovereign wealth. This is not a theoretical exercise for some distant future. It is the most critical act of self-governance in the immediate present. You are poised to move beyond the unconscious transactions, to cease broadcasting your precious assets into a void of unreciprocated value. The first step towards this re-sovereignty is to embark upon what we call the sovereign resource audit. It is a framework not for time management, but for truth discernment, an architecture that unveils the silent devaluations and empowers you to unilaterally exit the exchanges that bind your future self. The question then is not what you must do, but what you must acknowledge to reset your true exchange rate. Dive deeper into this architecture at sovereignsynthesis.com. The first step towards this, you see, is to truly comprehend the nature of the transaction itself. For it is not merely that your energy is consumed, it is that an invisible exchange rate is unilaterally imposed upon your sovereign currency, your time, your focus, your creative impetus. This rate is never offered for negotiation. It is always and ever designed to optimize the external system's ledger, compounding its wealth while quietly, imperceptibly, draining your own. Your most precious assets are not just being spent. They are being traded at a value dictated by an architecture not your own. An architecture that demands a silent collateralization of your very future self, binding your potential to its ongoing needs. This is where the illusion of contribution dissolves, revealing the deeper truth of an imposed economy. You are not simply engaging. You are operating within a predefined economic model where the intrinsic value of your sovereign essence is continually recalibrated against an external metric. The system does not ask for your agreement. It simply enacts its exchange, and in your unconscious acquiescence, the terms become your operating reality. To accept this foreign exchange rate is to unwittingly consent to a future where your own energetic currency holds diminishing purchasing power within the architecture of your life. This is the silent contract you have been broadcasting, unaware of its profound implications. And in this rapidly accelerating evolutionary moment, with its incessant demands for adaptation and conscious creation, the continued acceptance of a devalued exchange rate for your sovereign assets guarantees a swift and inevitable obsolescence. The world you perceive is not merely unfolding, it is rapidly differentiating, separating those who architect their own reality from those whose reality is architected for them. To remain tethered to an external ledger that devalues your most potent creative force is to ensure you are left behind, not by choice, but by the relentless, compounding momentum of an unacknowledged energetic deficit. The urgency is not born of fear, but of the absolute certainty that this window of recalibration is fleeting. To reclaim your architectural authority, to truly author the reality you inhabit, you must initiate the sovereign resource audit. This is not a task or a checklist. It is a profound act of recognition, a rigorous internal inquiry designed to identify and quantify every implicit exchange rate applied to your life currency. It is the deep dive into the hidden ledgers of your energetic output, discerning where your time and attention are being traded at a devaluation, and precisely where the compounding interest of your own sovereign wealth has been diverted. This audit unveils the architecture of your unconscious consent, making visible the invisible hand that has dictated your energetic economy. This audit, once engaged, provides the irrefutable data point for revaluation. For it is only when you witness the precise devaluation of your sovereign assets that you can unilaterally declare their true worth. This declaration is not an outward negotiation. It is an inward realignment, a fundamental shift in the frequency signature you broadcast into the world. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing of your intrinsic value, a knowing so absolute that the external systems, by universal law, must either recalibrate to meet your declared exchange rate or find themselves entirely outside the bounds of your new sovereign economy. The power is in the declaration, not the persuasion. This revaluation, this unwavering declaration of your inherent worth, is the architecture that allows for the unilateral exit from every unfavorable exchange. You are not forced to compromise. You are empowered to repattern. You are empowered to repattern. The systems that once held claim over your attention and time simply by virtue of your unconscious consent now face a new, sovereign calculus. You collapse the timelines where your precious assets are collateralized for another's gain, and you step into the timeline where every energetic output is reciprocated, amplified, and returned to your own sovereign ledger. This is not a withdrawal. It is a rerouting, a redirection of flow, orchestrated by the system architect who has finally recognized their own immutable authority. You arrived here with a quiet knowing that something was amiss, that the equation of your life felt fundamentally imbalanced. You depart now with the architectural framework for its absolute recalibration. The key to escaping the imposed economy, the true exchange rate, lies not in fighting the external system, but in auditing your internal one, in declaring your sovereign value with such unshakable clarity that the universe itself must respond in kind. This is the moment to initiate your sovereign resource audit, to revalue your temporal and attentional currency, and to begin compounding your own sovereign wealth, establishing an economy where you and you alone are the architect of the reality you select. This journey begins now.